Hey everybody, Real World Prepper here. So we all know, I say we all know, you know what, I assume a lot of things. I assume we all know this. I assume that when you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't. I know and observe that the cabal that is leading the charge and controlling things in our world are, among other things, part of the plan. They're trying to, right now, distance us. Effectively, they're distancing us. The social distancing, of course, you know. What's happening as this is going on is people are becoming wary of one another. People are scared to be around other people. Not everyone, but, you know, a large part of the population here in the United States and around the world, for that matter, are buying into the fear that is being perpetuated from this situation that we're currently going through. And for posterity's sake, this is late April in 2020. Or, you know, years down the road, if somebody finds this old video, figure out where it is, if this thing's still up and running, this platform. But the point is, they are effectively, you know, they are effectively keeping us distanced, and I think it's for a multitude of reasons. You know, it's part of a bigger plan, a part of a bigger agenda. I've talked about this stuff before, you know, but what it's doing right now is when people really need to be getting together with their communities, getting together with their families, getting together, forming a plan, forming a mag, forming a group, whatever, you know, of all your, you know, any of your like-minded folks or anybody that you can get on board, you know, to be able to take care of your needs. You know, a single family can't do it for themselves. You know, I'm in that boat. I don't have very many to rely on. And those that I do are not right here around me, you know, nearby. Some are not terribly far, but, you know, if travel, for example, becomes an issue, then that's going to be an issue, you know. You know, right now I can get in the car, I mean, it's one thing, you know, but, you know, 15, 20, 30-minute drive, whatever, and I can get back and forth to a few trusted members of my group, if you want to call it that. So I've been trying, I mentioned before, I've been trying to form some bonds with some people nearby and everything. And you know, and first of all, people need people. We need to be with people and commune with people. You know, it's what Christ wants us to do, is to be with one another. You know, iron sharpens iron, as it goes, and you know, so obviously you want to be with the right kind of people. You know, but I've always been a lover of people, regardless. You know, I love people. I have a heart for people. You know, especially the lost, and look, and I'm no perfect Christian. I am a Christian, but I'm no perfect Christian. But anyway, the point is, while we're in this situation, we need to not forget what the ultimate, what our ultimate goals are. You know, and I think for many of us, it is to be in a position to be able to take care of ourselves and take care of our family. And, you know, you've heard the saying, it takes a village. It does. You know, if you like Stephen C. Smith wrote the books, the Stonemont series. You know, that's a great example, and he's a YouTuber here. Integrated Preparedness is his channel if you want to check it out. But in his books, the Stonemont series, it kind of lays out an EMP type event and how people sustain and carry on and go on afterwards. And it was fiction, of course, but you know, art imitates reality, or reality imitates art, however that goes. So it lays out in my opinion, pretty good detail about how these things can be done effectively, and it shows examples of how you know, ineffectiveness causes trouble, to say the least, for folks. So that's the reality of things. Now, I've mentioned before in other videos that it's always good to know people with different skill sets. You know, if you are good at one thing, let's say you're an electrician, just for example. And you know somebody who's a carpenter, you know, and they have a friend who's a auto mechanic, or whatever the case may be. These skills that right now, well, I say right now, I mean, right now it's a little limited on what you can, you know, right now today, late April of 2020, it is a little more difficult at times to, during this time, to access some of these people and their skills in their business settings, you know, as many businesses are shuttered right now, as we know. But as it was leading up to a couple of months ago when this all kind of broke and everything started shutting down, you know, you could go to the store and pay the money if you had it, you know, you could go to the auto shop, you could hire a carpenter, you could hire a roofer, a painter, you know, like I say, auto mechanic, a computer repairman, whatever, you know, what electrician, whatever it was, you know, if you didn't know somebody. Well, now's the time to be, it's really past the time, but you know, now, if you haven't already, is the time to be making these connections, and hopefully you've got something to offer. You know, it's not going to always be about money. You know, money is about to be, in my opinion, a thing that is not that important and won't be recognized as such, and we will have a lot less of it. And what we do have will be worth even less. You know, that's already happening. The economy is suffering from what's going on right now. So, that being said, I've got a friend, you know, I'd mentioned in an earlier video too or maybe in a couple, that my homesteading plans, which I thought I had more time, and maybe I do, maybe in the grand scheme of things, I will have more time, but I'm beginning to believe that I don't have as much time as I thought I had to get these things together and get them working and get things going. And with all the deluge of rain that my area had over the last several months, it put everything back on my homestead plans. You guys know, if you've been watching, that I've got my chicken coop in place, and they're there and they're doing well and all that. And we've got some things planted, some foods, veggies and whatnot planted, but they're planted in buckets and pots because we needed to get things in the ground or in the dirt. But I didn't have the time that I thought I might have, again, based on the rain, and now because of what's going on, to lay this bed I wanted to do for a big garden area. And I've also begun to rethink that whole thing about how I'm going to do that anyway. And part of the rethinking came from one of my friends, a connection I made actually through this platform, through this channel. And if you're watching, sir, you know who you are. And he is well, first of all, I consider him a friend, and I'm glad to know him. I'm blessed to have met him, and he lives relatively near here, pretty near here, and he is, let's just say he's like-minded, okay, and he is a farmer, and among other things, and he's got cattle, he's got, you know, he does a lot of things, so he has offered up some big containers that I think he said were feed containers that are 20 or 30 gallons or so, that would make great like raised bed type things. And he said, I believe I could have 8 or 10 of them or somewhere along those lines. And he's got a bunch of good fertile cow dirt. You guys, many of you know what I'm talking about. Good stuff. So this will be good. This will enable us to accelerate our garden plans, in spite of what I thought was going to happen, which was that I wasn't going to be able to lay a bed. I'm not going to lay a bed. I'm going to put these containers out, and you know, try and get it done that way, and get more things in the ground or in the dirt and growing here in the next week or two. I may be going this weekend, just weather permitting and everything else, to gather some of this stuff that he's offered up. So these are the kind of connections that we need to make. These are the kind of connections that the controllers of our world are trying to keep us from making. And I believe these are the reasons why they're keeping us from making them and maintaining them, is so that we have to be dependent on the government tit, you know, and not each other and not ourselves. That they you know, I believe they want, you know, unable, ineffective people who can't do anything for themselves. We already have that. to a large degree. People who cannot take care of themselves and do things for themselves. You know, that's that's no secret, you know. But I think the plan is to really accelerate that whole thing, you know. So anyway, I don't know. Many of my videos just ramble on a little bit, and this one is too. It's just some thoughts I had. I wanted to share them with you guys. Get it together now. I think that food shortages are coming. We're already seeing, like I say, I've said it before, in again, I'm referencing other videos, you know, about the things that are and are not available in our grocery stores, the businesses that are, you know, many that are not open, that we can't access things. There's, you know, travel restrictions and work restrictions and da-da-da-da, and now, you know, no one's clear on when this is all going to end, if it's going to end. I personally think it's never going to go back to how it was. I personally think that it's going to at least stay where it is, if not accelerate into further, you know, difficulties trying to maneuver throughout life. All the more reason to get this stuff done, to make your connections if you don't have them, to put your preps up, to sow some seed, to you know, have all the tools necessary, you know, and all of the parts that go with those tools to protect what you and yours have, and to form these bonds with again, your community, your neighbors, however you can do it, so that you know, if there's a weak link in the chain, someone else has that master link, right? And where they have a weak link in their chain, you can be a master link, you know, and vice versa. And so everybody needs to stand in the gap for one another. You know, Christ called for us to love our neighbors, you know, and to love our community, and to share Him with them. And so if we do all these things in Christ, if we do all these things prayerfully and in consideration of what the Holy Spirit has to say to us about it, and we're constantly seeking Him and that guidance, you know, who could stand against us, you know? And frankly, for me, it's to whatever end, you know. I don't expect that if the world crashed and burned today, that I'm going to triumph and stand with my foot up on the hill, you know, and say, I have sustained and I have made it. I hope so. You know, I do. I've got a family, you know, and I don't want to see them or myself perish. But you know what? With God, and where I am in my relationship with Christ, if that's where we are, that's where we are, you know. Anyway, just some things to think about. I hope this stimulates a little thought for you guys, and I appreciate you being here. I'm the Real World Prepper, and I will talk to you another time soon. Bye-bye.